thank you very much for coming. And yes, the screen is now over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Can you hear me now? Yes?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, okay, that's great. Thank you. I have my coffee. I hope you all do. So I will try to tell you a few words, a few examples of projects, and a few words about the type of institution that we created, which I think was quite unique 10 years ago, but now we are followed by some other cities who try to have this kind of intermediate bodies between city policies and the cultural department within the city and neighborhoods, communities, and still with the status of cultural institution. So it's quite important to mention that my team comes from the team that was responsible for the bidding process for European Capital of Culture project. And it actually shaped quite heavily the way we started to think about the city, because we needed to think about the whole city and follow two priorities that were so important in this project. One is city and citizens, the second, European dimension. So after we lost, because we lost in the final phase with the other Polish city, we decided still to continue our activities, and actually the city wanted it very much because of some initiatives that we started before. And for us, it was the moment when we needed to rethink a little bit what our role should be right now. So first of all, we started to think how to keep the city and citizens as a city priority, because obviously the mayor was very much supporting this idea. But when you really adopt this kind of thinking, it's not only about one cultural institution or a mayor. It needs to be reflected in city strategy, and it's not only the cultural area, it's also something that must be a priority in thinking about education and civic education and urban development, architecture, urbanism. So it was quite an important change in the moment of the city. Obviously, we were thinking about citizens of Gdańsk as our key audience, but it's easy to say citizens of Gdańsk, but we all know that this is a very diverse society, many different groups, different languages, different origins, different age. And whenever you have such a complex group, you really need to think carefully how to approach them. So as I mentioned, we always feel that culture is just part of the whole city development and whole city potential. So again, it's important to think about it, how to combine economic, social, urbanistic, architectural strategy and cultural strategy. Another challenge was to keep the trust of partners and to set new rules for cooperation. But also as a cultural institution, we needed to think about us, that we need to have our identity, our aims, and obviously our areas of expertise, because you cannot be responsible for everything. You need to look at the landscape of other institutions and to define your role. But what was the heritage of the bidding process was that we had the position of intermediate body, and the body that is not over other institutions, but to some extent gives our knowledge and support to our institutions and also influences city policies. So we defined our mission, which is about accessibility, openness, and diversity of urban culture, but also about activity, competence, and cooperations of groups and individuals who created. So what we wanted to take responsibility for is, on one hand, openness of culture and engaging people, but also raising competencies of people who create.
Alexandra,
yes?
just you have to share your screen, I think.
Okay, I was thinking I'm sharing it all the time.
No, we're just looking at you, which is fine, but I think I could see that you were looking after some images. Yeah.
Thank you for saying
yes,
that.
That's fine. Okay.
So
Fine.
Now you see the screen or not?
Yes. We are fine. Thank you.
Shall I make it full screen mode now?
Yeah.
Is it okay now? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I just started with those, with what I
No, now it's
talked
black.
about. Okay, once again, I'll try to, sorry.
Yes.
But can you see also the PowerPoint
Yes.
or PDF or
Yes.
just the presentation?
No, you can, if you can full screen it, it would be better.
This is what I did.
Careful.
But actually, I don't know why you see it black, but maybe it requires some time.
It's black again.
It's written sharing is okay.
Yeah. Hold on.
Bring your shared window to the front. Let's.
Otherwise, it's fine as you had it before. It doesn't matter. We see the.
That's, you know, I have many pictures.
The tabs.
It's just actually it's okay. I'll try to do something with it, but because as I show some pictures, and actually they are quite nice. They show what we do.
Yeah. Okay, this is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
But it's now the whole screen, or again just.
No, it's the screen with the tabs on the side, but this is fine. This is fine.
Okay.
It's readable. It's
okay. So summing up the mission. This is actually I really liked once during our last sessions. You formulated the mission for the project of cultural planning, and you said that it's about how to maintain in the city socially inclusive and culturally sensitive, and I believe that it very much reflects and defines our mission, in other words. So sometimes I use now this this definition. So as I mentioned, we have two main groups that we target, that are our target groups. One is inhabitants, and the second professionals. Professionals in cultural field in Gdansk. Obviously, we are not closing our activities, especially now in online world, only to people from Gdansk or only from people for people to Tri-City, but when we think about our responsibility, we feel that this is the responsibility for especially the group from our place, as we are the municipal institution. And I would like to very much underline the importance of Cultural Observatory, which is a very small department of my institution, but really important, because on one hand it brings knowledge and initiates some research and helps us to formulate a support program for the sector, but also it works with all the animators in my team. They help us to evaluate our projects. And we believe that for Cultural Observatory, this combination of practical and theoretical knowledge is the perfect one. So thinking about formats that we use, this is not something we didn't invent anything that is unknown. So we use all the possible formats: seminars, workshops, conferences, consultations. Also thinking about projects, we initiate research projects. It doesn't mean that we make those research projects. We usually cooperate with some other companies, but we always share. This is very important, that all the findings are on our website, so it's shared with everybody, and everybody have access to all the findings. But thinking about citizens, I mentioned that the groups, when you think about citizens, it's quite complex. But so first of all, we decided what our role is. Our role is to inspire, to create, to encourage, and to support. And we try to build those on these three pillars. So thinking about inspiration, those are our events, those are projects that are our authors' ideas, and we quite often invite artists for those projects. We believe that this amazing, creative and innovative people can be so helpful in influencing the shape of the city and the people. But when the second pillar, creation and encouragement, this is actually very important because we want our audiences to participate, but our much more important aim is to make them be involved, to take responsibility for their spaces, to have the will to make a change. And I will later on show a few examples of projects, so you will see what I mean. And thinking about support, it's knowledge, it's our experience as a team of producers and animators, but also some education programs that we offer on the year basis. And now talking about some examples of activities. I start with the festival narrations, because it shows the way that we were evolving during years and how our thinking about what is possible and how it's possible to work with communities is possible. We started as a festival in the center of Gdańsk, a very beautiful space, thinking about exploring some places there, telling the stories of those beautiful, important spaces, but also somehow finding and talking stories of the places which are hidden or sometimes very ordinary. And that was the main idea, to inspire, to show the artistic perspective. And I can say that it was really space oriented. So we had a curator, he had his concept, and but one thing was important, that it needs to be site specific. And a very beautiful example, I also like this example, is it's not a bridge, it's just an installation. But this installation shows the biggest lack of the space. Those two banks of the river are really close to each other. This is a very small river, but it completely splits the city, and those people can see each other from windows, but they didn't have any relation because of lack of any connection between them. And actually it cost the city to think about the bridge, not exactly in the same space, but I think that this is the way of cultural, what we call cultural planning. Whenever artists base their projects on people's thoughts and then inspire, and then someone makes decisions. We were developing the project into more and more participatory. First of all, we decided to move to different districts. So now every year we are in different districts. And sometimes we choose nice districts, but we like challenges. And so we go into sometimes really difficult spaces. And also we decided that we need to add open call targeted at local artists, that they could add their projects. But what we did last year, we completely extended the whole project. So we started much earlier working with people there, and we did some kind of research of what they need in the place, of the routes they use. And then curators who were very open, they used all this material we gathered in the artistic projects. So it was really fantastic, because we've never had such an involvement of people and of local people. Because, okay, this festival gathers about 10,000 people. People come from different parts of the city, but it was never so visible that also the inhabitants were really part of it. And okay, I just we were awarded for this project as the best cultural project of last year, just a week ago. So let me be quite proud of it, because we were really happy. Another completely different format is Open CCI. This is something we introduced 3 years ago, and this is a very, very easy scheme, quite based on any grant system. We have micro grants as an institution. We give to people Mondays and Fridays at our site, and we say, you do whatever you want. You can apply, you write your idea, and we will help you. The one rule is we never organize it instead of somebody. We give support, we give this micro grant, we can teach something, we can tell you how to communicate in your local community, but we never do that instead of the organizers. So this is a very open format, but the hosts are the people who come to us. Now we also experimented with doing that outside, and it worked. Another project is more place oriented. So this is really about the place, but again, exploring new spaces can make a change quite easily and quite quickly. So thanks to cooperation with artists, we find some hidden, sometimes in bad shape places. We do some kind of installations. It looks like a short pop-up exhibition, but usually this place quite quickly has somebody who wants to rent it or own it or start some other activity. And it's very important, the cooperation with the cultural development, the Gdańsk development department, because we quite often, we do that in spaces which are going to be under revitalization. But it doesn't need to be with the city department. This is example of collaboration with owner of quite shabby, not a shop. It's more like it's not even the shopping mall, because it's much smaller. This is something that was created in Poland in '90s when we had free market and everybody could put really everything. And now it's quite central, localized, but this is not a place where people go. But we did some interventions, artist installations, but also events, and it changed the view completely of the owner. Now he started to believe that he can give another life to the place, and he also thinks about refinement of its architecture, which is absolutely great. One example of not success, actually, when you see a lot of people here, it doesn't mean that this is a successful project. This is also like a warning that sometimes you can be happy because you have audiences coming, but actually it spoiled our aim, because we wanted to come into small places, engage people who live in the surroundings, and to show the potential of the space and to create the feeling that we may change something. But then, you know, all the audiences that we had from other festivals, they started to come. And it absolutely killed the idea of cooperation in small group discussions. So this was on one hand successful, but we stopped this project because we didn't want to have invasion of audience for an event. We really wanted to work with the space in different way. I show monumental art, but I'm not going to talk about murals, although mural, as you know, it's ambiguous way of interfering in public space, because it can, people love murals, but murals are quite difficult. Sometimes they can really spoil the space. So I think that we need to be really careful. And what we proposed building a collection in the one of districts of Gdańsk, a collection of murals in a space where there was one tradition of mural that was somehow related to the history of the space and the visit of the Pope. So people loved the mural. They felt that it belongs to the district, and this was the initiated, how the collection initiated. And but I'm not talking, I don't want to talk about murals, although the collection is quite a big one now and quite popular. But what was more important was that people who live in the district started to love the murals, and they asked a lot of questions about who painted that. And we started to giving lectures about that. But then we decided to broaden the scope of the lectures. So we talked about how the whole district is being planned, because it's a nice modernist concept, about the history of the space. And there were people who wanted to become the local guides. And so we somehow supported them with that. And now, whenever you come to this district, you can have a walk with one of the citizens who can tell you really everything about the place. They feel that this is there, they feel proud of it, they know a lot about it. I put some numbers in the presentation, not to boast about it, just to show that it really works. People want to come and people want to tell the stories of the district. And because of ZASPA, we developed the district, we developed the project to other districts. Now we have local guides in 7 different districts. And it's amazing how those people are engaged in telling their stories. What is important, each local guide has, okay, they have knowledge, they can tell you the story of the house that you see now on the picture. But much more important is that they have always their individual route and individual stories. And the mixture of it makes it so much more real than the tour with the professional guide. And so we develop it here, just a few pictures of, this is the phase when people learn and they have some walks with experts. Then they start their own walks, sometimes even on kayaks. It's also possible. But we need to remember that the structure of our cities change. For example, in Poland, we have now in the city many people, Ukrainian speaking and Russian speaking people, and those are also citizens of the city. So we introduced also some talks in Ukrainian and Russian language. In English, it's mainly about tourists, but it's also important to be open for new guides and new audiences, even in such projects. And the same scheme worked for the Shipyard area. There are still some people who witnessed this period in the life of Shipyard when Shipyard was had strikes, who worked with Lech Wałęsa, and we especially focused on women that were undervalued in the story of Shipyard. Actually, still they are. And we started the walks talking about their role and sometimes just their life, the work that these women did. And again, this is kind of format that you involve people who live there, who have memories, and it's very, very interesting for people who live in the city. And again, we also started to do that in Russian, and we have visitors. 2 last projects. One is Gdańsk Neighbors Days. This is a bit like with Open CCI. We do not organize anything here. What we offer is we announce a month. We say that we have a lot of things like plates, tablecloths, some T-shirts, whatever you may need for making making a small event, small meeting. The only thing we want is that people who organize it, they take these things from us, that they need to invite somebody they don't know, and it needs to be in their neighborhood. And again, as you can see, only last year we had more than 200 such meetings in very different spaces. Sometimes those meetings are small, sometimes, as you can see on the other picture, the school wanted to organize Neighbors Day, so it's huge, but it's about building relation on the community level. Usually it looks like here. Sometimes they have somebody with a guitar, but usually those are just meetings and just talks. But this is what we love about it. So coming back to the model of the institution, this is the site that we believe we'll get finally, because there are some problems and we wait for this site for a few years. But it's important for us because we are very known in the city because of our activities, but actually we are not having a space that is related to us, and you need to have a space. And you can also think about new functions. And it's a space where people know where to come and that they can spend some time. So we now think about the concept, how to, on one hand, to have the space and to build it as a place for people, but also not to lose what we have being present in the people's places. We tried, because the building is some kind of problem, we still don't know why it's not finished, but we somehow tried to also to do something with the space around. This is a backyard of the place. So in one weekend we offered some workshops, and as you can see, people were curious, and we used this pavement for the first time ever, but somehow, and it doesn't even have an address, but people found it. So, so summing up and the model. So we think that it's important in our activities that we are very much in relation to the city strategic objectives. So if we think about inspiring and strengthening the sense of the city and citizenship, we know that it's somehow reflected in not only in strategy of culture, but also social development department, client development, and so on. And also we want to build our position as the research and support center for cultural sector and citizens in Gdansk. And here again, we share it with NGOs, with other institutions. So this is again about making this position of intermediate body and to build relations to others, to be needed and supportive. And also it's important right now to think about values that are important for for our mission, for the way we communicate with people. So we believe that openness, dialogue, and reflectance are those quite important. And probably I think it's the last slide. I would say that what makes us and such an institution is a balanced way of thinking about the way we act and communicate. So again, it's important to create, but it's important to balance it with support and to search for initiatives and be supportive. We are focused on both communities and spaces, and actually it's right now, I believe that it's quite related. You cannot think about good planning of space whenever you don't have any relation to the community. We don't want to undervalue short-term interventions. Obviously, thinking about city strategies long-term is important perspective, and for culture and for social change, it's probably the proper perspective. But let's not undervalue the short-term interventions. They can make a change, they can be visible, they can build visibility and reaction. So also you should think about that, and the same exactly goes with outputs, outcomes, and impact. All are important, and when you evaluate any project, I think we should look at all. At the same with innovation, it's great to be innovative, and we need to experiment, especially being public institutions. We have a right to experiment because we are quite lucky being financed and being able to experiment a bit. But let's look on most of all on our effectiveness, and if we really make a change, and if we do that the right way. And again, something for cultural institutions such as ours, we need to be cross-sectoral. It's not a sector anymore. We cannot, thinking about the city, divide the sectors and make the borders. Because you were yesterday, I was for some time also listening to the presentations, and innovation is still an important issue. So innovation in thinking of the city development. And so I left the slides, which I also like, because I believe that innovation is always when we use methods that make a change, and whenever we build some sense of citizenship, or we change someone's attitude, we give the power to, or we enrich somehow citizens. This kind of change is always very innovative. It's very difficult, but it's the aim of what we do. So you have our webpage and contact. So if you have any question, I will answer them right now and anytime. On our website, you have all the contacts to me as well, with email address and phone number. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's really wonderful the way you try and find a position which is between the city and the community. So you have an independence, but you also, on the one hand, are dependent on citizens participating, and you also try and build up a dependency to the city itself with regard to its planning and its might say its institutional functions. So I think this balance has always been really strong in your case.